As the days grew longer and the search efforts came up empty, everyone dreaded the news.
We came into possession of some written documents. The results of those documents gave us a person of interest. After questioning that individual, we were taken to the site where the body was found.
With 9-year-old Elizabeth Olten's body came the formal charge.
Alleging a 15-year-old committed the offense of murder in the first degree.
Stringent Missouri juvenile laws protect most information in the case. Details, including the suspect's gender and any known relationship, remains unknown. Nearly 1,000 volunteers and officials aided in the search, but the dense woodland and hilly terrain complicated it.
We have been through that area, actually more than once. The body was very well concealed.
We are taking your calls live out to Mike Brooks, former Fed with the FBI. What do you make of it, Mike?
Well, Nancy, you know, they're saying that it was very well concealed. This is a extremely rural, very wooded area. Now, you know, they said they went through there with dogs. Again, keep in mind, Nancy, dogs are only a tool. They said it was when they one of the times they went, first time they went through, it was raining, these kind of things. Usually rain is pretty good because the air is more dense. But there again, if this girl, this 15-year-old planned this out, she could have concealed this body.
To Mark Class, president and founder of Class Kids Foundation, I just don't know how cadaver dogs and bloodhounds could have missed this. Plus, we also know now that the body was not far away from her cell phone. The little girl even had a cell phone. Mark Class, she was doing, the mommy made sure she did everything right. She had a cell phone. She was only a few houses away, 1,000 feet, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, this is a brutal situation. But before I get into that too much, I would like to offer my condolence to her family. This is just a terrible experience that they're going through. Nancy, given
You know what, Mark? Just pause.
Sure.
You're right. Everybody else is hashing this through, talking about the facts and the evidence, and it's easy to forget that right now, there is a family that is devastated. Their hearts are broken. They can't even take in that their daughter is gone. Their little girl is gone. It's over. All your hopes, all your dreams, all your love, it's over. And behind bars is a 15-year-old girl.
Given time and circumstance, a killer will do everything possible to cover up their crime, and that includes disposing of the body. Remember, Kaylee Anthony was only a few hundred yards from her home, and it took many months to find her. Remember, just last week, the little girl, Summer Thompson, her killer tried to dispose of her by dumping her in a landfill. So I think we have to give a little bit of credit to the authorities, not for the Amber Alert they didn't issue when they should have, but for being diligent and ultimately finding the little girl's body.
You know what? That's a good point, because good police work, not forensic tools, solve this case. We are taking your calls live. Back to the lawyers. Raymond Giudice, Joe Lawless. Okay, Ray, you know how juvenile bindovers work. The child, as they're called in the law, this is by no means a child, she's a 15-year-old, will be at a hearing tomorrow to determine whether she stays behind bars, which I predict she will.
Right, I agree.
And, you know, no judge in his or her right mind is going to let an alleged killer, a baby killer, out from behind bars. But then the big question is, will she be treated as an adult? As an adult, she can get life without parole.
Let me tell you what I would be looking for if I was your counsel. I would gather every single medical record from this 15-year-old from the day she was born. Wait a second. Let me tell you what I'm going to do.
Never cease to
Get all of her school grades, pre-testing. I want to give that judge every piece of information so that I can do everything I can as her lawyer, not as the prosecutor, to keep her in the juvenile court. That's my job. Get a prosecutor to do the other job.
Just because you drag the word out does not make it any more significant. So my question is, what do you hope her grades, her school grades, are going to tell a judge?
I want to look for a pattern of this child either having psychological or inability to comprehend the seriousness of the crime. We don't know. A simple IQ test could make it so this child, this 15-year-old girl, does not have the sufficient competency, intellectual competency, to stand trial as an adult. It could be that simple, Nancy.
Lawless?
Nancy, the only thing we know about this child is she's not living with her parents, she's living with other family members, which suggests a living condition that could have impact on her background. We don't know the nature of the crime other than the fact it was a horrible, tragic killing. We don't know, we know nothing about the child.
Put him up. I know this much. It's premeditated according to police, and that's from our, I'd like to finish. And according to our sources, it is from a diary. So this child that you're referring to that has all these mental problems keeps a diary, a well-written diary with enough detail to clue cops in about what's happening. But let's go to the authority. Dr. Bethany Marshall, psychoanalyst and author of Deal Breakers, joining us out of the New York studio. Bethany, weigh in.
Nancy, the fact that she wrote in a diary and possibly told another friend who then told police speaks volumes. And what it tells me is there was a fondness for aggression. Whenever teens plan to commit violence and they want to do it and they're fixated on it, they write about it. We saw this with the Columbine killers. We saw this with Casey Anthony. We see this with school shooters. And usually the mindset of the killer is that there is a preoccupation with wreaking vengeance and seeking harm and rendering the victims into a very helpless state. So in this case, it's violence for the sake of violence. It's not to cover up another crime like child molestation. It's not to kill a child because they took your possession like a pair of sneakers or something like that. It's usually correlated with parental aggression, parental brutality, and then carrying that out on a helpless victim.
And this is what else I can deduce. I don't know this yet, but we know that the child was last seen alive at the home of a little playmate. Okay? We know that police honed in on a home in that neighborhood and seized evidence. So, 1 + 1 = 2, and that's telling me, Mike Brooks, that that is the home where the alleged killer lived, and that is somehow related to the little playmate where the girl was playing that day. I'm cobbling together facts that, you know, that are out there. To me, it makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, Nancy. If you look at the map that we were showing just a little while ago, it shows where the body was found, it shows her house, and it shows the house that where she was there with the little girl.
I want to go to Dr. Carrie Peterson, internal medicine doctor at Lenox Hill Hospital. Dr. Peterson, she went missing on Wednesday. Her body found 2 days later.
That's right.
She was in the elements. Will we be able to determine cause of death?
I think it'll be extremely likely that you'll be able to determine cause of death. And the fact that she was very well concealed may actually help coroners figure this out. Because being very well concealed, to me, means that you're being protected from the elements. Rain, water, wind, even animals. So I think, and also...
It's so hard for me to look at this little girl's picture, Dr. Carrie, and hear you say...
It's devastating. It's
animals.
Devastating. It's horrific. And one other thing to mention is that in a 48-hour period, there is decomposition going on, but it's only internal. So the skin is still intact. So if there's any physical injuries, such as, God forbid, a knife wound or a strangulation, it will be very visible.
Out to the lines, Barry, Illinois. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Nancy. I just want to tell you I appreciate you so much for everything you do for victims that can't speak for themselves. And I also appreciate the way you love your 2 little kids, the way God intended for you to love them. And this breaks my heart over and over again when I watch your show. But we need to know what's going on out there. And what the question I was going to ask has already been answered, I guess, by the penalty. This little girl could be tried as an adult. But, Nancy, that's not enough. We need to get together as a nation and say, hey, we're not going to take this anymore. We're not going to kill our kids. We're not going to mutilate their little bodies and destroy families. We've got to have some tougher penalties so people aren't so apt to do this and then spend 20 years in jail and think, well, they're paying my rent, they're feeding me, we're paying their medical care. It's just not fair.
Have you ever had somebody go in and just reach inside you, pull your heart out? That's what it's like. She's an angel. I mean, they keep going back connected with her. My niece is scared of the dark.